let's get to worst take real quick. Shout out to the good people at ESPN. Can the Knicks make a championship run? What do you guys think? This has been a good topic here. Can the Knicks make a championship run? This was this morning's Get Up with Monica McNutt here, representing us well. This was her reaction and Brian Windhorst. Can the Knicks go on a championship run? Let's listen, and then we will respond on the other side. Here we go.
But if you told me this offense went crazy and they were able to lock in...
If someone were to say the Knicks could go on a championship run, is that McNutt?
So it is not McNutt, because when you look at all the numbers, this team's offense is fantastic. They're rolling, they're top 2 in terms of efficiency, all these metrics, scoring in the paint, the whole bit. The wrinkle is, defensively, they've still got to figure it out. They've got to grow. When you look at the way that they performed against Cleveland and Boston, and they're not shirking away from this either, you can see the differential. But if you told me this offense went crazy and they were able to lock in behind the defensive prowess of an OG Anunoby and a Mikal Bridges, OG Anunoby when he's healthy, of course, and they did it, I wouldn't be shocked.
It's ironic, right? Because Tom Thibodeau is the coach. So they're an offensive juggernaut, but they struggle on the defensive end. That's not what we saw coming. Go ahead, Winman.
Yeah, it was a nice win last night because Brunson only had 8 points, had foul trouble, and they were still able to put up that power. Now, Monica referenced it. They're 0-5 against the Celtics, Cavs, and Thunder this year. Now, that doesn't mean anything in February, and they do get 3 games against the Cavs left. They play at Boston, in Cleveland, and in Memphis, another one of the top teams in the league after the break. We'll have a good idea of where they are. I'm impressed with them. Championship contender with that record against the top teams, can't say that right now.
All right. Well, what do you guys think, man? Can they go on a run? I think Monica was partly right in terms of the defense. You know, if the defense right now the answer is no, because they don't play championship caliber defense. However, there's still a lot of time to get it together, and we have not seen this team at its peak defensively yet, based on the absence of Mitchell Robinson and now the absence of OG Anunoby. Those are their 2 most important defensive cogs. So let's see when those guys return how this impacts the Knicks defense going forward. We could see some good things here. Right? And with OG's ability to get after it, be aggressive, force turnovers, which would ultimately enhance his offense even more. Mitchell Robinson's ability as a rim protector, as a shot blocker. We just don't know. And most importantly, how Tom Thibodeau utilizes this rotation with these guys, the varying lineups, to make sure that this team is running optimally both offensively and defensively. I wouldn't necessarily say no if these guys can improve defensively. That's where they've got to improve. But I think the second most important thing to determine whether or not they can go on a championship run is how they adjust in the playoffs. I think we've seen enough tape, especially with Towns in these big matchups, to see how teams are going to take him out in the playoffs. That is what I worry about with Karl Anthony Towns. That's what Minnesota was worried about with Karl Anthony Towns. He can be at times a low-impact player in a big spot. That's not hate. That is a proven track record and a resume for Karl Anthony Towns. That's just reality. He's got to prove it. Yes, Game 7 against Jokic, phenomenal. Put it in the Smithsonian. That's one game. You got to prove it again, especially in the playoffs. So when Boston's coming through and they're putting these smaller guys like Drew Holiday on you and all of that, you got to be able to dominate those matchups. And if not, who from the Knicks supporting cast is going to be able to step up? I'm looking at Mikal Bridges. I'm looking at Josh Hart, because these teams, when they look to take guys away like a Karl Anthony Towns and send extra attention to his way and send extra attention to Jalen Brunson, that means they're sagging off for Josh Hart on the weak side. Got to knock down those threes again. Last year, he was great. He was good. 37% from 3 last year when he played against Philadelphia and the Pacers. He gave the Knicks good offense on top of the rebounding and the inside scoring. He was able to knock down his threes. So the supporting cast, Hart, Wingstop, Hart, Bridges, OG. Got to get it done if Karl Anthony Towns gets neutralized. I know the captain is going to show up. He gave us 2 years of great contributions. There's nothing you're going to do to stop him when he's on his game. They're going to force him to take tough shots. They're going to put the wings on him. But when he can rise up and get his shot down and get to his spots, it doesn't matter. So I'm confident that the captain will be there. McCall you can't be running from the smoke. You got to step up. And Tibbs is going to have to utilize him in different ways to feature him in the event that the big bodega gets neutralized in these matchups. So I think the answer is TBD. I thought Monica had good points. Windhorst saying that, well, you know, they're 0-5 against the top teams. That's true, and you definitely want to see them beat the Cavs or beat the Celtics at least once this year to have some sort of confidence. But I also think in the playoffs, when you're talking about a 7-game series and who's playing the best at that time, things can change. Things can definitely change. You know, look no further. I'm almost positive that year when we got gentlemen swept by the Hawks, I felt like the Knicks beat them every single game in that regular season. They dominated the Hawks in the regular season. Postseason was a different thing. Maybe that was because the fans had come back into the arena and, you know, Julius got the deer in the headlights thing. It's hard to say. But I don't necessarily go off of, you know, random performance or random events in the regular season to necessarily translate into what can happen in a 7-game series. But you be the judge. We got a lot of time. You guys be the judge, man. Interesting debate. Keep the faith, Knicks Nation. Let's go.